Can you speak my language? Ting tang, ting tang tang tang, ting tang. What about this? Beep beep. What about this? MC today, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Good evening.
Good evening.
Now that's better. Don't you get frustrated when there's people next to you speaking a language and you have no idea what they're saying? I come from America and we speak two languages. The first one is English. And the second one is if they don't speak English, just talk louder. It's very difficult for us Americans to speak a new language and pick up on it. But I've come up with a language that everybody in this room and anybody that I've ever met can speak it if they get the opportunity. And that opportunity will always come to everybody. Do you want to know what it is?
Yes.
All right, let me show you. My wife and I were driving to dinner, and she was driving. And she always drives in the far right lane, going well below the speed limit. And there's always people waving at us, going, and one time I got frustrated. I said, look, Anthony, let me try this time. We'll get there in less than half the time. She looks at me, fine. She pulls over, looks at me again, and says, you obviously don't want to go to dinner with me, right? It's okay, you only care about yourself. What are you talking about? I didn't say that at all. You didn't hear what I said. You said I'm the worst driver in the world. Okay. And for the next 5 minutes, this is the only thing I remember. Do you know what kind of language we were speaking? It was pretty bad language. And it was not the kind of language that I wanted to speak that evening. When you want to reflect on a situation that you could have handled better, there always comes an opportunity to speak a different language. And that opportunity to speak it only comes when you are in stress, when you're in despair, or when you're not at your best. That opportunity came when I was randomly browsing the internet, and I came upon this man. Who's this guy?
Winston Churchill.
Sir Winston Churchill. In case you don't know, he was the leader of Great Britain during World War II against Nazi Germany. Who was in charge of Nazi Germany?
Hitler.
Adolf Hitler. When things seemed hopeless and bleak during the war, 1940, when they were down on their knees in full despair, he came up with this. What does this mean? Today we see this as the peace symbol. But back in World War II, it meant something different. It meant the V for victory. And he started to show it during the opportunity when he was down on his knees, when the country was about to be defeated by Hitler. And people started to do this more often. And this kind of language was speaking to people of Britain. And they were doing this too. And they were saying, without even saying a word, people were starting to get hope and love and togetherness to unite and to overcome the odds when things seemed bleak and hopeless. And friends, eventually they won the war. But my browsing of the internet continued. I started to get more curious about the peace symbol. And I came upon the other peace symbol. The one where hippies wear on their shirts with something smoking in their mouth. This peace symbol Please remember it and how the symbols come. In 1958, a British artist came up with that symbol. And he came up with it using the language called semaphore language. In case you don't know what semaphore language is, it is when you're on a ship and you have two flags waving down ships. But there's actually a language when you do it. Like this, this, or this. This symbol with the upside down V is the letter N. This symbol, straight up, is the letter D. It stands for ND, nuclear disarmament. In 1958, this man, the British artist, came up with this symbol. But in 1958, that was the height of the Cold War, when things seemed hopeless, when the entire world felt that a nuclear war could happen at any moment. He came up with that symbol. And that symbol spread across the world and is seen today on t-shirts everywhere. These two symbols are what unite the world. Pass this out. You could tell that I was really trying to really go off on a tangent to try to solve the problem with my wife. I was really trying to make peace with the situation. But with these symbols, even though they don't have any words, they were speaking to me in a new language. A language that brought hope, that brought love. And even when circumstances seemed bleak and hopeless, they spoke something else. In every situation in your life, whether it's arguing with your partner, or when your friend decides to not show up to a coffee date that you took out for your busy schedule, I say to you all, speak victory, speak hope, speak forgiveness, speak the language that we all speak today. Back to you.